Hello, everyone. I'm here today for episode 21 of Backpacks and Stories with Lenny.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm good. Yeah, it's a bit colder today, so I'm wearing a jumper, but
Cold.
cold, relatively cold.
And where are
How are
you
you?
right now? I'm okay, thank you. I'm just here, and it is cold, -15 here in
Yeah.
Montreal.
It's only like a 30 degree difference, something like that.
37, 37.
37, even more. Damn it. Um, yeah, I'm in Perth, Australia.
And what are you doing there?
What am I doing here? Well, at the moment I'm just sitting on a chair, but um, what am I doing in Australia? Well, I got here pretty much around the same time as you.
Hmm.
Um, and kind of been sticking around really, and have been doing lots of different things, and now I'm just living a life. I'd say I'm not really traveling around Australia anymore, so I'm more like settled life, trying to get residency here some
Hmm.
point
Yes,
in the
on the path
future.
to Australian freedom.
Yes, well, hopefully. Yeah.
And where are you from? What's your story?
I'm from the Netherlands. What's my story? Yeah, that's a good question. Like, do you want to know what I was doing, or why did I start traveling, or
Exactly, wherever you want to start. Yeah.
wherever I want to start? Well, um, I'm from the Netherlands. Uh, lived my very generic standard life in the Netherlands. Um, Finished uni when I was 21, started working, had a partner, but I always had the desire to go to Australia and postpone it for years and years and years, or to travel, I should say. Um, and then at some point, me and my ex-partner were looking at houses and renting something, and I kind of started freaking out. I was like, if I'm gonna get into this, I will never follow my dream and actually start traveling. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go. You can come with me, or you can stay here. And he decided to stay in the Netherlands, and I, yeah, quit my job, started renting out my apartment, and made the leap to go to Australia. And that was more than 5 years ago. Now I'm here
Mhm.
still.
And what were you doing back in the Netherlands?
I was working as a dietitian in rehabilitation. So it's completely different as what I'm doing now. But
Mhm.
we'll probably get to that later on. Um, yeah, I was doing that, and I did some work in hospital and as a personal trainer as well. So a little bit of everything.
Could you see yourself going back to being a dietitian?
Not in a way that I was working as a dietitian. I was not really a fan of um, how the healthcare system works in the Netherlands and the type of clients that I was seeing. Um, because the main audience that I was helping out were more elderly people,
Hmm.
and like most of them are nearly towards the end of their lives, and I can give them advice on how to maintain their blood glucose sugar, or like lose some weight, or I don't know, heaps of whatever's happening. But at the same time, it's also very like, yeah, who am I to tell them to leave that piece of cake, at the end of their life?
Hmm.
Um, and you could see that a lot of people wouldn't really listen to it anyway. They wouldn't really take the advice, because all all you're there for is because they got told by the doctor to see a dietitian. So that's what they do, and they're there, and then they sit there, and then they can say, I've been to the dietitian. Can I get my medication now? You know? So nah, don't really want to do it in that way. I'd like to do it in different ways though, do my own maybe online kind of stuff, but I'm not sure in what kind of format I want to throw that in yet.
Was there a group that you wanted to work with, a demographic that you would have preferred to work with?
Back then, not specifically, but now I'd really love to work with women with hormonal imbalances and like health issues and stuff like that. Mainly because I think I've got like PCOS myself, polycystic ovarian syndrome. Don't know if you know what it is, but basically like my hormones are all fucked up. And it's been a bit of a process for me to find my way with that in regards to nutrition and lifestyle. And I know I'm not the only one, and there's a lot of misinformation online and not a lot of information out there, or like sources of proper information out there that people can use, that women can use to actually be able to control that a little bit. So I'd love to guide women with that, actually.
Do you feel like you're do you feel like it helps you having your qualifications to deal with your own problems in that way?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, because for me, when you do a bachelor's degree, you learn a lot about how to do proper research in like, or understand research, scientific research. And I think without that knowledge, it would have been way harder to actually be able to find information that's useful. Because especially now on social media, people just say whatever they want and people believe it straight away. And there's not everyone can understand what sources you can actually use and which ones you can't, or like how to filter them out. So for me, that's been, I guess that's been very helpful, actually. Yeah,
because I guess there's the whole thing about like nutritionists, because anyone can call themselves a nutritionist, right? And it sounds like a fancy title, but it's just someone who says that they know things about a topic, but they don't necessarily.
Yeah, and I'm schooled. Like I'm clinically schooled, I'd say. Like that's what you learn at uni. You learn about like diseases and how nutrition can have an influence on that. And a nutritionist, for example, is legally not allowed to help someone with diabetes or kidney diseases or stuff like that. They still do. Most of the times they still do, but they're legally not allowed to because they're not trained for that, and we are.
Yes, just like a self-proclamation.
Yeah, pretty much. I think it's the same with chiropractors. Everyone can call themselves a chiropractor.
Really?
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, so don't.
I mean, I don't do any fact checking, but we'll go with that. It might be different in different parts of the world, maybe.
Yeah, that's true as well. Yeah.
So, what are you doing now in Australia?
As a job, I'm doing something completely different. So, yeah, I'm working in carpentry. So, well, kind of, not completely yet. So I'm working as like a trade assistant for carpenters that build decks. I only started this job like 2 weeks ago, though, not long ago. But before that, I was doing pretty much the same thing. Same thing. I was working as a trade assistant for carpenters and concreters in the mines. We were building camps, so fly in, fly out. Yeah, completely different to what I was doing back home, but I'm actually really enjoying it. It's really nice to work with your hands and be outside all day, and you're actually building something. So you see the before and after. It's very visual. Whereas sometimes when you're just working with numbers or plans that people don't follow up, you don't really see the results. Sometimes you do, obviously, but not always. So that's really nice. I actually really enjoy it. Not too much thinking as well, or like social things all the time, which can be real fun, the social side of work, but can also be very intense.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think construction is very rewarding in that sense that you can you see what you're making, where your time is going.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Being parts of those projects. And what other kinds of jobs have you done in Australia?
I think the cat's here. 1 second. Sorry, cat was meowing in front of the door. Just let her in.
Thanks for a cat.
Yeah. Hello. What kind of jobs have I been doing in Australia? Well, obviously farm work. That's where we met. A lot of farm work actually, because during COVID, kind of kept being stuck in farms. And a lot of hospitality jobs. So mainly those two things, and a little bit of like cleaning on in the mines as well. Yeah, I think those are the three main things that I've been doing here. And to be fair, but that's not really Australian specific. When COVID started, I was doing a lot of online work. I did like management of web shops for people that owned web shops, and copywriting and online marketing and stuff like that, which is also something completely different to carpentry or dietitians, or farm work or hospitality. But yeah, that was pretty fun too. Yeah.
You like to keep yourself busy, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Where was your favorite place that you worked?
That's a good question. I think my last job I really enjoyed. It was the construction job in the mines.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually I don't know why, but I really enjoyed it. Well, I do know why, but like every job's got like their own fun things or less fun things. But I think the last one kind of really, I learned a lot in a very short amount of time, which I really enjoy. It didn't feel like I was kind of stuck, doing the same thing over and over again. So when you've been working in hospitality for a long time and you do the same things, and there's no real progress that you make as like as a person, really. Yeah, maybe you jump up to a supervisor role or something, but there's no like, I don't know. The skills stay the same, really. You get better at maybe latte art or like shaking a cocktail or whatever, but it's there's no big difference in the learning curve. So I guess that's what made my last job very fulfilling for me.
Yeah, because you like that learning element, the idea of constantly new things, taking on new information.
Yeah, I need that constant like learning, and if I don't learn or there's nothing new that changes, it just get really boring for me. It's a bad habit.
Well, I don't know if it's that bad of a habit because there are definitely a lot worse habits out there than that, you know. And you're not going for the instant gratification. You're doing the things to progress yourself.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But at the same time, at some point, you have to be happy with where you are sometimes, because I feel like it's always gonna be the same. Might be the same while people love to travel, just keep exploring and don't stop and just enjoy where you are.
Once you get the bug, you don't want to
Ah,
stop.
I know the itch is just too itchy.
And it's hard to stay still once you're. Yeah, I'm shocked that I've managed this long, and now I've been here for 7 months. And that's the longest that I've been in one place since I left the UK. 7 months. It's
Really?
crazy. Yeah.
The
Before the
UK,
longest was 5.
where was that?
That was in Townsville. I was in Townsville for
Oh,
5 months.
Townsville, yeah. Oh, we met up there.
It's a nice
I
place,
remember that.
kinda.
Kind of, yeah.
We met there.
Queensland's nice. Yeah. You remember
Yeah,
Joanne,
it's
the lady from Wales?
yeah,
We
I
met up
remember
there,
Joe.
yeah. Yeah.
I saw you up in town.
Yeah. But
I must say,
I'm pretty sure you saw me up in Townsville.
when did you remember when you passed by?
I passed by twice. Well, we definitely met up in Mackay. Maybe it was like on the way.
I remember in Mackay. We went for a coffee. It was raining that morning.
Yeah. It was raining that morning. That was
And
I think that
it
was
was 4 years.
when we got drowned. Well, not drowned, but when we were camping outside and all our stuff was like,
Yeah, everything got soaked. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that was
Yeah,
4 years ago. It's crazy how time's just going by so quickly.
yeah, I know. It goes real fast. It goes real fast.
And at that point, you still had your apartment in the Netherlands at that point.
Yes, I did. I think, or it was around that time that I couldn't keep it anymore. I'm trying to remember because, yeah, I think it was around the time because I was allowed to legally sublet it for a year, and then I'd have to go back to the office in person to tell them that I was back, But obviously I couldn't because it was COVID. And then they were like, well, too bad for you. So that was it. And my family had to pack up all my stuff. I think it was around that time that it was the end of my apartment.
Mm. How
Yeah.
was that, making that decision and letting go?
Oh, it was not fun. But I didn't really have a choice. It was like, well, am I really going to go back to the Netherlands, go into a lockdown there, while here we're actually having a pretty free life? Going back to lockdown, not having a job, um, giving up on my dream to travel Australia, because at that point I haven't really yet traveled Australia because of COVID and lockdowns. So I didn't really want to do that, but it was not easy. Yeah, because in my head, I thought I was going to go travel for a little bit and come back to the Netherlands, and come back to a home. And then all of a sudden you don't really have a home anymore. Which is shit, but it also very freeing because there's nothing to return to. And then the world opens up.
It is a liberating feeling, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, oh, well, there's not that responsibility of owning your house anymore or something. Like, it's just, okay, well, now I can just literally do whatever I want instead of having the feeling to have to go back because you have a house or something. I don't know. It's different.
Yeah, and I think for a lot of people, because I understand that there were a lot of people in your situation as well. You know, other people who had left Europe, subletting their apartments because they wanted to go for 1 year, and they'd managed to find a really good apartment, a really nice place, and then they had to let that go. You know, and it's that moment that you have to decide. You know, am I gonna stay with the comforts of this place that I found or this new place I found, and we're gonna see what happens there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not an easy decision, but I'm happy that I've done that the way I have. I'm happy. I'm really happy that I stayed.
What do you like so much about Australia?
I love the lifestyle, pretty much. Yeah. I love the outdoorsy lifestyle, which is something that I never really grew up with back home. Because it's not, well, first of all, it's not really the weather. And like you can do outdoors things, but it's not very inviting, really. But also there's no real, the space isn't really there for that, I'd say. And I was never a camping person, you know? Like in my head, it's like, oh, you go camping, you go with your little tent to this caravan park, and all the tents are next to each other, and it starts pissing out with rain, and then everything is wet. I didn't really see how that was appealing to people. But then start traveling Australia in my car, and I loved it. Like the freedom that it gives you, just sleeping underneath the stars and seeing the Milky Way and seeing whales just jumping out of the water while I was brushing my teeth. And but it's such a different experience than what you would have back home. Like if you go camping in the Netherlands, you're just in a paddock or something, or I don't know. It's not the same. And I really started appreciating the outdoors lifestyle, I think. And now I cannot really imagine a life without it. So the thought of moving back to the Netherlands and not having that, like, for example, we're going camping in a couple of days with some friends. We're going up north, and go camping for New Year's, just 3 days on the beach and no servers, just beautiful ocean. You don't shower for 3 days, but it's so, I don't know.
You
I
have the
love it.
sea. You have the sea, yeah.
You have the sea, yeah. It's just a different feeling. And yeah, like I said, I don't think I can live without that anymore. I know a lot of people really like Australia because of the wages here and everything. Like you can make good money, which helps with a like more relaxed lifestyle than, for example, in Europe. But I think even if the wages were the same as in the Netherlands, I would still pick Australia mainly because of more the outdoor lifestyle that you can have here. Yeah.
Does the distance bother you?
Of the distance
From
in
Europe?
Australia or like
Well,
to
both.
Europe?
I guess when you're there in Australia, the distance is another thing. It's just something that you get used to.
Yeah, it's not a thing anymore. It's like, oh well, 2 hours driving.
Yeah.
Just to visit a friend for a night, Yeah, it's not really a thing here anymore, which is crazy because in the Netherlands I would be like 2 hours driving. Who's going to do that? I mean, I'll be in Belgium. I'm not going to drive to Belgium for a day, No. Yes and no. The distance bothers me to go back to Europe. Nah, not really, actually. No, it doesn't really bother me. To me, it's crazy that you can just jump on a plane and then 30 hours later you're just in a completely different world. But it's possible.
Yeah. 30 hours. those kind of flights, you're taking 30-hour flights to the Netherlands.
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
But Perth is closer, no? I thought you can get back to Europe in like 20 hours.
Yeah, okay, but I mean, if you want to not pay like four
Yeah,
grand for a flight,
the very cheapest option, yeah.
yeah, unless you're lucky. I think the shortest flight I had was 24 hours, I'd say.
Hmm.
Um, maybe a bit less, maybe 22. But there was like a 3 or 4 hour layover, which is pretty good. But usually it's longer than that, like 6 hours or 8 hours or something, which I'm actually fine with as well. I don't really mind. But maybe when I'm a bit older,
Yeah,
it will be different.
I mean, 6 to 8 hours layover is a bit complicated, because it's not really enough time to leave the airport and go and do
Yeah.
something. And you're just there for so much time, but it's not the worst thing in the world either.
Nah, exactly. I don't know. People, I think, make it always bigger in their head than it actually is. Like my dad, he wasn't bothered by it either. He's like, oh, it's the longest flight I've ever done, but it didn't really bother me. You just sit in a plane for a little bit and watch some movies and fall asleep, and then all of a sudden you're there. It's like, exactly.
Yeah, and you know the destination as well. You know it's going to be worth it when you get to the other side.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can make it real big and in your head, and then it's gonna be a horrible flight, I'd say. But if you just, I think it's really the way you approach it, maybe, or the way you look at it. Yeah, I don't mind it so much.
I love flying, but I try not to do it too much.
I wouldn't say I love flying, but
I don't love
I don't
flying.
mind it. No, nah,
No,
no. What's fun of flying? You're just sitting there.
for me it's the excitement about knowing where you're going.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's fun, but that's not the flying itself. It's more like the excitement of the where you'll be next and the adventure that's coming ahead of you.
Okay, if we're talking about sitting on a plane like with very little leg room in a middle seat, then maybe
Yeah,
not the best feeling in the world. But I try and put those things away.
yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I agree.
And not getting disconnecting, not getting notifications, that's even better.
Yeah, it is good. It really, yeah. How is the service and everything in Canada then? Because
Uh,
here it's still like not great,
I
which
don't have
is
particularly good internet here in this place. My phone's fine, but I mean I live in a basement as well, so I don't know if that affects things. But for some reason the mobile service here is extremely expensive. Last year I was paying like $60 a month for my internet, for
oh
my phone.
fuck.
$60 a month. That's like 70 or 80 Australian.
Yeah.
It's so expensive. This year I found a cheaper one. I'm paying like $30 a month. But still it's
Ew, yeah.
in Australia I was paying, I don't know, like $30 a month for like 80 gigs of data. And here I pay $30 a month for, I don't know how much I get at the moment. But no, it's okay, but there's no good regulation here in Canada. Everything is just market manipulation. They will price gouge you as much as they can, and the government just let them do it.
Have fun, make your money.
I was seeing something recently that talks about how Canada has like all the worst parts of socialism and all the worst parts of capitalism as well. They
Oh,
don't.
really?
Yeah, there's no advantage from either of the systems really. It's all just bundled together, and people say the health service here is good, but I don't have access to it, so I can't
Mm.
comment.
So there's no Medicare there.
No, the thing is, in in some states I would be eligible, but in Quebec, they don't offer it to people on open work permits. You have to be here with a job, a specific job. But in other states, yeah, in other states you can, because it's not federal. That's the difference in Australia. Although the medical system is state by state, they have their own rules. I'm as a Brit, I'm still. I imagine. I don't know about you guys. If you guys also have no.
If we have what?
If you have access to Medicare.
No, so you only have access to Medicare if you're actually paying for. So in the Netherlands, you have to pay health insurance as mandatory.
Mm-hmm.
But once you leave the country for at least 8 months, you have to. How do you say that? Just like you have to sign out as a resident, if that makes sense. Which also means you can't have health insurance anymore. And in Australia, you're only eligible for Medicare if you're from the Netherlands and you're still paying for health insurance, which you can't because you're technically not a resident of the country.
Mm-hmm.
So I know people sometimes apply for it and then get it anyway with yeah, but it's very hard. Like you have to be very lucky. I tried that and it never worked. So I'm just paying for my own health insurance here in Australia through Bupa.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
I
it's still
know.
cheaper than it is in the Netherlands, so I'm not complaining.
What? Sorry, it's still cheaper than it is in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
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 Really? But you're referring to the public system in the Netherlands.
We don't really have a public system. So health insurance is mandatory.
Okay.
Everyone has to pay health insurance. That is a public system, I'd say. And I think, it just went up a lot. So how it works there, you pay like a monthly fee of like, I think the minimum at the moment is probably 120 euros a month,
Mm-hmm.
which is like equivalent to 180 bucks Australian dollars a month, which I think is quite a lot. And then on top of that, you still have to pay what's called your own risk. And that's a certain, so if you put that up higher, so it's say I want to pay $1,000 worth of own risk, your monthly fee decreases, so you might pay a little bit less. But then what happens if you need to go to hospital or something? Their own risk is the first thing that you actually pay. So you actually have to pay that money. If it's a lower own risk, like say you want to have 300, you'll pay until 300 and the rest gets covered by health insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Does it make sense?
Yeah, a deductible, no?
Yeah, well, it just gets covered by health insurance because everything goes through health insurance. So you'll have to pay the health insurance back.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but this is all. It's just one insurance provider. The insurance provider is a public one, no?
No, you can pick your own.
Okay.
There's a few different ones that you can choose from, and they all offer like slightly different packages, I would say. So
I didn't realize that it's a fully private system in the Netherlands.
yeah, pretty much. I mean, there are probably some regulations and some things that they have to consider. So it might not be fully private, but I guess you can call it private. Yeah.
But for example, there are different, I don't know, hospitals or something, or there's just like one hospital that everyone would. That sounds like I'm trying to think of how to phrase the question better, because that just sounds. Of course, you're going to have different hospitals in a city,
Yeah.
but they're all private hospitals, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
But if a foreigner goes to like a European citizen goes to a Dutch hospital, do you know if they have to pay?
I don't know, actually.
But I imagine because you have like the e-Hague cards, no? So if you go to another European country, you don't have to pay.
What card?
An e-Hague, European health insurance card.
No,
You don't have those.
no. Well, no, I don't think so.
Okay, I think you
You just
do,
get like the health insurance card of the insurance that you're insured with. So whatever insurance that is.
and that covers you for whichever country.
No, it covers you for the Netherlands.
Just the Netherlands, okay.
Yeah. So most people get a travel insurance when they travel. And that
Even
like
Europe.
yeah, pretty sure so, yeah.
You might want to
And
look
then
in.
well, I'm not in Europe anyway, so
But for the next time, for next time. But do
yeah.
you usually travel with travel insurance?
Sorry?
Do you usually travel with travel insurance?
I used to, yeah. Because otherwise yeah.
Mhm.
If something happens I would have been fucked. But that
Yeah.
being said, I haven't traveled much in Europe, so I don't really know how that works, to be fair.
Hmm.
Um, I I've never heard of that card. What you're talking about, though?
The e-Hit card. I'll look it up for you
Yeah,
and the information after.
that's new to me. That's weird,
Okay. No, I
especially
don't.
because I was part of the healthcare system as well. So I'm like, what? Never heard of that before.
No, I think all of the European countries are eligible for it. It's like a reciprocal agreement in Europe.
Oh,
I,
yeah, might then I'd say.
who knows? So you just mentioned that you haven't done much traveling in Europe. So most of your traveling started in Asia before Australia and then in Australia.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. So yeah, I mean, I've traveled a little bit, but not really. Like, um, I went to Indonesia when I was 20, and that's when I actually decided, like, oh, I want to travel more in Southeast Asia and go to Australia. Postponed that like 4 years, but anyway, I got to Australia in the end and to Vietnam. That's it really. I've done a little bit of traveling in Europe, but not. I wouldn't really count it as traveling. I'd say like I've done a week in Italy or something, and
Mhm.
been to Belgium and Germany a couple of times, but not like proper traveling around. Like road tripping or something, or spending 3 weeks in Spain or whatever.
Just like a holiday.
Unfortunately. Yeah, just like little holidays or traveling for work or stuff like that. Nothing major traveling.
Hmm. And then how did your trip start? So you started in Vietnam.
I did start in Vietnam, yeah. Flew to Vietnam, was there for about 3 weeks, and then flew from from Vietnam to Hobart, Tasmania, where we met, and Santi, of course.
And Pato.
Yeah, 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 exactly. Yeah, yeah, and a heap of other people, but they haven't been on your podcast, so
No, not yet. Not yet.
not yet, not yet. Maybe they will. Oh, that would be cool. Um, whole like Tassie podcast.
Yeah. Tassie was I, I don't know about you, but it seems to be. I think I've stayed in contact with the most people from Tassie from my whole Australia experience because I think it was definitely the start of the trip, and we were surrounded by a bunch of really amazing people in the middle of
Yeah,
nowhere.
yeah, same for me. Really, well, yeah, Adam is still here. Like, still, still, still still sticking along. Yeah, same actually. I think for some reason it really made a huge impact on everything, but I also think it was because that's where like COVID started around that time as well, and then there were not many backpackers around since then, but a lot of people that were at the farm actually stayed. So you keep bumping into people and seeing how people are and catching up with them and everything. And I think, yeah, it was really cool. I'm looking back at a really, really good time in Tassie as well. Like, I loved it there. It was such a good time. And like you said, met so many amazing people. So cool.
And it's such a beautiful place as well. Tasmania is really
Yeah.
the best drive to work I ever had. Every day,
Yeah. And the
amazing.
sunrise, and when you go back, like the sun's like setting a little bit, and over those hills. Oh, it's beautiful.
And tell me a bit more about your travels around Australia. Do you still have anywhere that you haven't been and you want to go?
Yeah, there's certain trips that I'd like to do. That I haven't. I've been in the area, but I haven't done like, for example, the Gip River Road. I'd love to do that. And there's an area close there as well. It's called the Bungle Bungles. Tried to go there, and then we figured that we didn't have enough petrol with us, so we had to go back. And they were like, well, fuck this. I'm not gonna go 2 hours of the way, get petrol, and then drive all the way back. And then yeah, we were like, oh well, we'll come back another time. I'm sure we'll be back this way.
Driven 2 hours in towards there and realized you didn't have enough petrol for it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So yeah, it's a bit like you have to carry a tank with you, like a spare one, with some extra petrol to get there. And we didn't realize. We were just like, la la, we'll go here. And then some were like, I don't think there's going to be a petrol station along this road. And we don't really want to try it out either, because if you're stuck there and you're like 4 hours away from a petrol station without service, it's going to be, yeah, pretty expensive, you know? So we're like, nah, maybe, maybe just turn around and then, yeah, we'll do it another time. But other than that, I've seen quite a lot, I think. I've done a whole loop. So I've been in Tassie, I've ticked off every state, even Canberra.
What did you think of Canberra?
I was only there for a day, but it's nothing. I wouldn't really want to go back, to be fair. It was not like, woo, that's a great place to be. Nah, nothing special, I think. Yeah. I'm thinking, no, I don't think other than that there's a specific place that I really want to see still. I mean, if you do the whole trip again, you'll see heaps of new things. And I'd love to do the whole trip again and see all these new things, because there's so much to explore and to discover, but there's not one specific area where I haven't been and like thinking like, oh, that's a place that I really want to go still.
Have you done the coast between Melbourne and Sydney?
Briefly.
Okay.
I have, but that was during COVID, and a lot of places where you can go, they're just like closed off, even national parks or like hikes and stuff like that. So I drove along, yeah, twice, but haven't really been able to stop in many places. It's beautiful though, from what I've seen.
And have you made it? You've been to Daintree, no? But have you made it further up? You went to Cape York.
No, that's a place I'd love to go as well, but you need a proper four-wheel drive for that, and I didn't have it at the time, but that would be really cool.
And you live on the other side of Australia.
Yeah, it's a bit out of the way at the moment, but
And also the road between Cairns and like the northern road. Have you been along there?
no, we were meant to do that, but there's not much. So yeah, I think you go pretty far down south actually to be able to go to Cairns.
Hmm.
So I think it's like even below, I don't remember, like below Catherine, there's a road that goes to Cairns, but there's not much there, I think. So I've pretty much done the East Coast twice. Went through South Australia to WA, and then did a whole thing from like down south WA to up to Broome, Darwin, and then went down through the middle, like Uluru, Alice Springs, Cooper PD, back to South Australia, and then go back to Perth that way.
Hmm.
So I'm missing that little road. Well, little, it's still a long time, but on the map it's little. I haven't done that, but I don't think that's something I'd really want to do. It's not. Yeah, I don't think there's anything super special along that stretch anyway.
I don't think you're
Have you done
missing.
that?
No, I haven't done it. No, I haven't. I've never been to Northern Territory, nor ACT, um, and nothing north of Perth either. So I've done
Mm.
the rest of the coastline, apart from the bit between Melbourne and Sydney. But other than that, yeah, I'm missing quite a lot.
Would you like to?
Yes, at some point. At some point, there are still places that I would like to see. I'd love to go to Northern Territory and check out there. Um, and I've heard really good things about WA as well, north of Perth. But it just, I don't know. I don't want to be. I'm kind of over the whole driving thing. Me personally, I don't really want to
Yeah.
have a car again in my life. But I don't mind.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I just no. It's too much responsibility and money, and I don't know. I used to really love driving, but I think I kind of got bored of the distances, and I think I'd rather be in the passenger seat. I'd rather be contributing economically and just sit back and relax.
Yeah, fair. I get that. Yeah, Adam was driving most of the time, so that was easy for me. But
You get to be the passenger. It's more chill.
yeah, yeah. But I do like it though. It gives you a lot of freedom owning your own vehicle.
Hmm. You
So
guys have had quite a lot of problems with cars along the way as well, no?
yeah, yeah, we have. So I can imagine that didn't really help with you with
What you want car number 10?
No, this is only the third. It's okay. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, that was yeah, we had some fun. The first car was actually fine, and then we had like a Subaru Forester. It was great, but we just wanted to upgrade it for something like a bit more high clearance four-wheel drive.
Hmm.
So we bought this Pajero from this guy, countryside guy, and it looked all really good, and he'd been taking really good care of it, and everything was fine. It had been serving us pretty well, and then we went to South Australia, to Adelaide, and we knew we had to get the timing belt changed over because that was due. So we got our timing belt changed over, and then whilst the car was at the mechanics, they told us that the spark plugs needed to be changing over as well. While they do the timing belt, they usually do the water pump at the same time too, because it comes like in a package thing, and they have to take one thing out, and then it's easier if they do it together. So that was all good. We're like, okay, well, let's do it then. Get it all sorted before we go on the road. It set us back $2,500, which is quite painful at the time because we just got got out of lockdown, hadn't worked for a few months, and yeah, it was a big investment. And then got on the road on the way to Darwin, actually. Well, tried to get there anyway. One day on the road, and then the engine started overheating. And I was still at that time, I was like, oh, well, we just pull the car to the side and we'll just see what happens, you know. And then a truck passed by and I don't know what he did, but I think he filled up like the coolant tank or something with water to see if that would help. But it was all smoke coming out of the engine and everything. And then, yeah, RSC came around and they said they had to be towed back. So it had to be towed back 2 hours to Port Augusta. And by that time, we already kind of knew that engine was probably not in a very good state because of all the Pajeros. I think they've got aluminium heads and they warp when it gets too hot because the temperature gauge is actually outside of the engine instead of like inside. So at the time the gauge tells you that the engine has been overheating, like it's too hot, it's actually way too hot because it measures it from outside and not from inside the engine. And then when the heads are all warped, that's basically means that the engine was fucked. So yeah, we got back to Port Augusta, and what had happened was the tube that feeds the coolant from the tank to the engine had split somehow. So it was just a write-off. That was it. Car's gone. That was, yeah, it was not so fun. Yeah, I think we got towed like 3 times or 4 times in our Australia travels.
Did you contact the guy who sold you the car?
No, because it wasn't his fault. It was just like we were just unlucky, you know. It's like a rubber tube, and it just split. Maybe there was too much pressure on it or something. I guess maybe the mechanics that we went to must have, I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe there was too much pressure coming out of it. Maybe it was too hot. I can't think of anything why it would split. But even the mechanics at Port Augusta, he didn't really know. He had never seen it before either. So I was like, well, that's not good.
Everything happens for a reason, eh?
Yeah. It all worked out in the end. We still have another Pajero still working. So for now.
Yeah, because I remember that one at that one point you had a problem and you thought that it was done as well, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, we brought it to a mechanic and he said it was a write-off. I don't even remember what was wrong with it, actually. There's been too many things that was wrong with it with the cars. But actually, what you're saying is true. Everything happens for a reason. And because we had so many problems with cars, Adam was actually really keen to become a mechanic. So that's how he decided his future career path, because he's like, I want to be able to fix my own cars in the future, which is pretty cool. He's really enjoying it. So yeah, I guess if the cars were always just working perfectly, he would not have chosen this path. So it's all, everything works out for a reason.
Right direction.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, you're right. This car was also, there's something wrong with it, and the mechanic thought that it was just a write-off. And then we decided to get it back to our house, and then we brought it into a different mechanic, and he was like, no, there's nothing wrong with it. I think it was a timing belt, and you have to place it in a certain way, and he didn't know how to or something. So it kept misfiring or whatever. And he was like, no, it's the car, it's broken, it's a write-off. And we're like, what? Well, we're very, very happy that we brought it to another mechanic afterwards to get it checked again. And he was like, no, it's easy fix. And he fixed it, and that was it. It's still working, still going.
That's why they say always get a second opinion, right?
Yep. Yeah, and I'm glad we did. Yeah.
Mhm. And you've been with that one for nearly, well, 3 years now would be.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Around 3 years now. Yeah, longest car so far.
Have you been in Perth for 3 years now, more or less?
Yeah, yeah. 3 years. We got in Perth in November time, so 3 years and a month. But we've been like traveling last year as well for probably 8 months or something. Then we
Hmm.
went up north, lived in Exmouth for about 4 to 5 months, and did a little bit of traveling. Like did the whole Broome, Darwin, Uluru loop bit. So 3 years with a little bit of a gap in between.
It's a long time.
Yeah, still
Mm.
enjoying it though. Really, yeah, we live in a great area as well, not too far from the beach. You know Fremantle. Where were
Yeah.
you when you were in Perth?
When I was in Perth, I spent like a week or two in Fremantle, and maybe like a week and a half in Fremantle, and then the rest of the time just around CBD. I really don't like CBD.
No, I don't like CBD. That's the worst place to spend your time there.
This is what I was telling you before. I don't know why I always try and like force myself into cities because it just doesn't gel. I just don't. I don't come from a city, and it's just not for me.
Why are you there?
I don't know. I think I get carried away with this idea of convenience, wanting everything to be close and wanting to have all the options. If I want to go and do something, then I can. But I think that takes away from the options of the things that I actually enjoy doing. Like
Like what?
what you were saying before about why you love Australia, I think is so true about this. You can have such a good outdoors life. And I think about the best times, the best places that I was in Australia. I was in like outdoor kind of open hostels, where
Yeah,
everything's just open. A lot of people spend time outside, even if it's not specifically super green, like it's just a patio, you're still outside. um like I think about Airlie Beach was one of my favorite hostel experiences, and Tasmania, and it was just, Tasmania was green everywhere. We were surrounded by farms and mountains, and it was beautiful. In Airlie Beach, we had a lookout of, the ocean, and it was very green there as well. And then I think about the times that I didn't really enjoy myself, and it was in Perth and in Melbourne, and the concrete jungle is just a bit too much.
yeah, I agree. I don't really vibe with that either, to be fair. Like, I don't like Perth. I like the outside areas of Perth, you know? I like WA. I should say it like that. I like WA. I don't specifically like Perth. I never, ever go into the city, to be fair.
Hmm.
Only if I need to. But other than that, I'm usually around Fremantle, going to the beach. It's very European vibes there as well, like the old buildings and everything. There's a lot of history.
Hmm.
Well, history, like European history. um, but it's quite interesting, and I guess it gives me a little bit of like home feeling
Hmm.
because of the way the buildings are, and there's a lot of international people, a lot of Italians and Argentinians. Yeah, I really enjoy it in this area. Oh, it's a shame that you've kind of missed that though.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know, and I think I told you it was about the state of mind that I was in as well. I wasn't really. I don't think I was really ready to be there, and forcing this idea of being in a city just wasn't a good idea. The thing is, the people that I knew were in Perth CBD. So when I was in Fremantle, I don't know, I wasn't really connecting with people.
Yeah,
So then I went to Perth CBD because it was where the people I knew were, my friends were. But then I, was going into a place that I didn't really like. So if my friends were in Fremantle, maybe I would have had a different experience.
that's true. Yeah,
The people
yeah,
make the
yeah. One day.
one day, when I make my way back to Australia.
Yeah. You reckon it's gonna happen at some point again?
Well, I have another 11 years to use my third and final year. So I have a little while, and I have lots of people to see, to catch up with. So
Yeah,
I'll make my way back there at some point for sure.
yeah,
Maybe just for holidays, but a third year is possible as well.
yeah. That would be a completely different experience.
Yeah, for sure. Post-COVID
Post,
Australia.
yeah. We took that for granted sometimes.
It was a good life.
It was a good life. Yeah.
Do you feel like it's really changed a lot since?
Um. Yeah. Yeah. It has. Um. Well, some things are better as well, of course. Like it was very stressful not knowing if you could go back home or not, or like when the borders were gonna close. And I remember, I think it was you, right, that just made it through to WA like a couple of
Mhm.
hours before the borders closed. Yeah, things like that, super stressful.
Mhm.
And you don't even, yeah, you don't know anything of what's gonna happen, or um. So that's good that that's not really a thing anymore. But I don't know. We were quite privileged at the time. We could get any job that we wanted. It was easy to find a place to live, to find a job, um, to find a place in a hostel, even. Like everything is fully booked now, and you have
So
to, yeah. Like, but back then you could just like cruise along and not really have a plan and just make your plan along the way, but now you have to book hostels and things way in advance. um I'm not really that person. I'm I much rather do everything last minute. Luckily I traveled Australia during COVID, because yeah, it would have been way different now. So I'm happy that that's different. Yeah, it's definitely different. But yeah, that being said, I'm also not really traveling around anymore, so it's two ways, I'd
mm,
say.
yeah, I've heard ridiculous stories about how expensive things are, and just doesn't sound like to be a backpacker starting with no contacts now. I imagine it would be very difficult.
I think so too, yeah.
Very
Whereas at
difficult.
the time, you could just like post on Facebook and you get like 50 messages of people that wanted you on the farm with
Mhm.
free accommodation and food and whatever. They won't give you anything because they needed workers. And now it's like, no, we've got enough now.
Is even more difficult than it was pre-COVID, because we went and told all of our friends, and then all of our friends started arriving to Australia. Well, I don't know. I have a few friends from the UK who went over there, but I think it was just people realized like how good of an opportunity it is, and way more than before COVID. Because
Mm,
I mean, you didn't really have the experience. You went straight to Tasmania, so you didn't really see what the cities were like. But even when we were in Melbourne after Tasmania, and things hadn't really started, it was busy, but it wasn't crazy.
no, yeah.
But now it would be too much, I think. Way too
Yeah.
busy.
I don't know. Like, I find it really hard. I can't really compare because like you said, I haven't really been in the city before COVID, and most of my experience was during COVID and post COVID. So I don't really have that. I can't really see the difference, if that makes sense. I can see the difference of like COVID times and after COVID, of course. And I still think even before and after COVID, it's probably still better after COVID now for backpackers. For example, well, like with the piece rate picking and stuff like that, it was horrible. That's all not a thing anymore. So you actually get paid proper wages. So, which is
I'm sure there are still farms that take advantage of people.
yeah, probably, but I don't think it's that mass, like mass advantage as it used to be. Like
It's not this
before,
big.
it was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was literally it was a just yeah, it was horrible. And I'm sure you still have that, like working hostels and weird schemes and whatever, but it's not as much, I think.
Yeah, I think
Imagine just getting paid $28 an hour instead of like
good life.
$50 a day, you know?
What have been some of your highlights? What have been some of your favorite places that you visited?
I think each place has a little bit of their own charm. I really like Tassie. That was the start of my adventure, so I have a really like warm feeling about that. Met many amazing people. I really liked Queensland as well. I really enjoyed my time on this cattle station where we worked. We were there for 6 months, and I've seen a completely different side of like life, really. Like I'm from the Netherlands. I'm not used to like countryside. These people are like, you could probably say proper cowboys, you know. They would muster cows on horseback and go to the rodeo kind of things, and they took us with them as well and showed us their lifestyle, and it's something I've only seen in movies, really. So it was really interesting and really eye-opening that that's actually a thing, if that makes sense. And these people, they grow up so differently than how I have grown up, and they're born on a farm, and that's what they do. And nearest Woolies is 2 hours away, you know, and that's normal. But in my hometown where I grew up, it's 5 minutes walking distance. It's like, if you forget your onions, you can still just walk around the corner and then you'll get your onions. But it's a bit different. You live 2 hours away, you know. So I couldn't live that life, but it was a really good experience for me to have that. So that's a big highlight in my travels. And what else? I think WA as well, just WA in general. Like North WA, some beautiful hikes that I've done. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, every place has got their own charm, and I think it's really hard to pick one spot or one highlight. And to be fair, I don't really have a specific city that's a highlight to me. It's always more like the outdoorsy experiences that I had. So I guess that says a lot. I think like I never knew that I was so much of an outdoors person until I moved to Australia, and now I'm like, oh, yeah, like you said, those are the moments that I've felt really happy, and you don't really realize that if you don't experience it. But once you've experienced that, you can see the difference between the city life and the outdoors life. So it's not like Sydney was my highlight or something, or Melbourne. Not at all. More specific camping trips or specific experiences that I had, like seeing a whale brushing my teeth. That was crazy.
What was that?
Or, in New South Wales.
In New South Wales.
Yeah, we were just camping on the beach, and we had to leave really early because to get to the campground, you had to go through the water, and we had to leave early because otherwise it was too late and it would be high tide and we couldn't cross. So we woke up and was just brushing my teeth in the morning, and Adam said all of a sudden, like, "Hey, I think I've just seen a whale." I was like, "Nah." What are you talking about? And he was like, no, really. And then we're just standing on the beach brushing our teeth, and we could just see the whales jumping out of, like, breaching out of the water. I was like, whoa, this is crazy. So unexpected. Yeah, that was really cool.
There's lucky moments in life.
Yeah. What was your favorite?
My favorite, I feel like straight away probably Noosa comes to mind. I really love Noosa. Noosa is so beautiful. But I love Early Beach and the Whitsundays. I think that's between those two places, I think are very special. But then I also like, Esperance is very nice. I love the East Coast in general. That's my favorite part of Australia that I've seen, because they are long distances, but not crazy.
Yeah, that's the difference in WA. It's a bit,
you have to
especially north. Yeah.
No, it would be nice to see, but like I said, I don't want to be in the driver's seat in that situation. So
yeah.
Like you said, every place has its charm. But specifically those places for me really, really stand out. Just places that are a little bit smaller, but so beautiful. And, I was lucky to be around good people in those places. Obviously Tasmania too. But that being my first working experience outside of the UK, and being, in that little community that we had, it was a really good time.
Yeah, everyone's going through the same shit as well. It really creates a bond.
Yeah. And that was, something completely different, working outside in the farm, something that we never. I mean, I know that I was very young when I started, but when we were kids, you never would have thought about doing something like that.
No.
And then you just find yourself there outside for 8 hours a day picking cherries.
Yeah, pruning apple trees. Yeah.
It was good. But I am definitely glad that people don't get taken advantage of anymore, because that was really, really a big problem that the farmers had all the control.
Yeah, it's not good. I think it's really good that that's changed.
And they knew that we had to be there. We didn't have a choice. Well, we did have choices, but as a backpacker, when you get there, you don't know that you can go and do construction in the north. You think you just have to.
Yeah, that is true. And now they included a few things as well. You can do hospitality. You can do construction. For the English, you don't even have to do anything. You just get the 3 years for free. Yeah, that has really changed. And I think that I'm actually really happy that we had to do the farm work, and we got to experience these experiences, because I think if I would go now, and I probably wouldn't have gone and done farm work. I would have probably gone up north and done hospitality. But I would have never, I don't know, I wouldn't want to miss those experiences that I had.
Mm.
It's had such a big impact on the rest of my travels and I guess on the rest of my life, I'd say. So it would have been completely different. I'm really happy that we had to do the farm work. And even now, when people ask me like, "Oh, where's the best way to do your 88 days or whatever," I would suggest people go do farm work. Like, it's an experience that's gonna be an unforgettable one.
Mm-hmm. It's
You're
part
never
of
gonna be, yeah, you're never gonna be able to experience that back home. You can work in hospitality back home, but yeah,
It's something very unique, that's for sure.
yeah, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, Australia. Mm. No, but I think I'm more likely to go to New Zealand next than to go and do another year in Australia.
That's cool though. I'd love to
Maybe
go to New Zealand.
you haven't made a trip over there yet.
No, I was meant to go again during COVID. Well, not during COVID, but like I was meant to go that year when COVID started. And I haven't really had the opportunity since, actually. And I'm sure I will at some point, but I don't have any desire to use my work holiday visa there.
Mm-hmm.
I'd much rather just try to get residency here and then just go over and do a proper trip without having to worry about visas and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm sure I'll be able to go to New Zealand at some point. I'm not really worried about that.
It's on your
Sorry?
doorstep. It's on your doorstep now, so
It is, but it also isn't. It's still expensive. Have you seen flights from Australia to New Zealand?
from
Oh,
I don't know. I mean, I guess from Sydney it's not that bad, but you're on the other side of Australia, so
yeah. Well, Perth to Melbourne alone is like $500 or something.
really,
Yeah.
it's disgusting.
Yeah, I know. It's an international flight. Oh, sorry, a domestic flight. It's
Domestic
cheaper to
the bucks. Cheaper to go to
it's
Bali.
cheaper to fly to Bali than to Melbourne.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Mm. So, where are some other places in the world that you are on your high up on your to-do list? Where do you want to visit?
Japan, like properly. I just went to Japan, but it was just like 3 days. But I'd love to spend a little bit more time there. So that's very high on my bucket list. Sri Lanka for don't know why, but I'd like to go there.
Mhm.
And just South America, not a specific place or anything, but I've never been on that side of the world yet, so I'd love to go there. Yeah, but I would just love to do like a big trip there. Just
Oh, you
visit
have
multiple
to.
countries. Yeah, I will at one point for sure. Like I'm keen.
Is I think it's for me it's the most special place in the world. That little corner,
Mm,
big corner, but yeah, no, it's so much culture and just everything. And it's the nature and the people and the food and everything is just so special.
yeah. You you want to go back. Are you going back, you think?
Um,
Soon?
yeah, soon. I'm here in Canada for the winter. But hopefully towards the end of next year, I might be able to make my way. You know, I still want to see Central America and Mexico, but then I want to go and see some old friends, some old places, and new friends and new places as well.
Yeah.
But you always have to make the decision where to spend your time. It's the hardest thing as a
Yeah.
backpacker.
What's the place that you'd love to visit most in that corner of the world?
Venezuela. I would love to see the whole country. Venezuela
Yeah.
is my dream.
You haven't been there yet.
No, unfortunately not. But it's very expensive to travel.
Really?
Yes, because of all the inflation and stuff. Um, tourism there is very expensive. All of the really nice places are very expensive.
Hmm. I didn't know that. I thought most of like South America is pretty relatively cheap to travel.
Yes and no. Yes and no. I mean, you have, for example, La Patagonia in the south, in Chile and Argentina, is one of the more expensive places to travel in the continent, because it's very touristic. You know, people come from all
Yeah.
over a very famous mountain range, and it is beautiful. It's worth it for sure, but it is expensive. And then you have Uruguay, which people consider the Switzerland of South America. Um, but again, if you know how to do it cheap, I think you can. But in general, it's a bit more expensive. But then the further north you get, normally it is cheaper. You know, Bolivia is a
Mm.
very cheap country to travel. Peru, Ecuador, and Colombia, they're all very economic options.
Yeah. That's good to know.
But by the time you make it there, everything might have changed. So
I was just about to say, but yeah, it could be completely different in 3 years. So don't know. So what are the places that you visited so far
well, I've
over
been
there?
to all the countries except Ecuador and Venezuela and Suriname and Guyana. But I've been to Brazil, Argentina, Chile, Paraguay, Uruguay, Bolivia, and Peru, and Colombia.
Oh, that's quite a lot, actually.
Just a little, yeah. But
Yeah.
when you go there as well, I don't know. I had no idea about the distances, how big the continent is, and when you get there, you see it's. You think distances in Australia are big? I got on a bus for 31 hours. 31 hours on a bus.
That's a
Yeah,
long time.
yeah.
Oh,
But I had the destination in mind, and when I got there, it was all worth it.
yeah.
I kind of took it as a day, just I don't know. I was just like resting, relaxing. No one was sitting next to me, luckily. So I had the whole time to just be there with me and process, because I was a couple weeks into my trip. So I needed some time to process, and it was nice.
Yeah. Is it one of those sleeper buses or is it just sitting?
I mean, you have reclining seats, but
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no. Yeah, just like a proper bus.
yeah, just a normal bus. But uh, maybe I slept reasonably well. I was just kind of sleeping for a few hours, waking up, doing something, sleeping, waking up, doing something, and rinse and repeat.
Do they stop
But
along the way to eat
th-
somewhere or?
yeah, they stop at petrol stations and stuff. You have the opportunity to go and buy things, but no, not for long periods of time. You're just kind of on the road, and the road is really bad. So sometimes you're going like 30 kilometers an hour for a few hours because the road is just that bad.
Right.
Um, So,
Uh,
but I would do
that's
it
cool.
again. I would do
It's
it
an
again.
adventure. Yeah.
You have to do those things. Have to try at least once.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I would love to go and explore the other corners of the world too. But you can't do everything at once. That's the problem.
No, I wish. Yeah. It's the same for us. Like you have to make decisions, but it's okay. We're still young, so we still have lots of time to explore.
That's for sure. And you're doing something now for your future. You're working on getting your residency there, and once you have that, you're free to go and do what you want,
Exactly, yeah.
where you want.
Would you have, well, you were young when you started traveling anyway, but
Mhm.
would you have started sooner, or was it something that was holding you back from starting to travel?
I wanted to, yeah, I wanted to because I finished school and then I did 2 months around Europe. And I wanted to work for like 2 months and then go at that point to Australia when I was still 18. But I think it was for the best that I just waited a little bit longer. Um, and yeah, I mean, from that point, I didn't wait that much longer. I waited 1 year.
Yeah, true. It's only 1 year.
I was 19. So no, I think I'm quite happy with when I went, and because as well, things would have been very different. We had no idea the pandemic was going to happen. So maybe I would have just stayed in Australia for 1 year and then gone back and been stuck for 2 years. So
Yeah.
I think everything happened for a reason, and I'm grateful the way for the things planned out.
Mm.
Would you have started earlier?
Yeah. 100%. Yes. But like what you're saying, same thing, like I'm happy that things have turned out the way they've turned out. So yes, I would have loved to travel earlier, but I'm happy that the time frame that I've been in Australia was actually now.
Hmm.
So maybe like I would have traveled New Zealand before, or Southeast Asia or something, and then have the same time. Like I got here when I was 25, and that I was happy with that. I'm happy that I've met the people that I've met, and I was here throughout COVID and all those things, and how everything kind of happened in the past 5 years. So I wouldn't change that for the world, but I would have loved to see more before that.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but there's always going to be time.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. It's just, I think it's when you're young, and I think it's a bit of a European thing, everyone expects you to, after school, go to uni, get a job, and do like life.
Hmm.
And I don't think you really get the opportunity to think of what you actually want.
Hmm.
Or maybe you do, but it's not the norm. So I guess it makes it a little bit harder for people to actually make that decision. And I think that that's for every traveler, to be fair. Like, it's not an easy decision to just jump on a plane and leave everything behind and just dive into the unknown, really. But think the social expectations don't make it easier.
100%. 100%. I think coming onto that as well, being in Europe, being Europeans, everything is a lot closer. So
Yeah.
there's one thing, it's very common that people go into an Erasmus year or a semester in another European country. But with that, you know that you're not that far away from your family, you can get
Mm.
on a flight to see them in a couple of hours, or vice versa. Whereas Australia, and I think this is what held a lot of people back before, that it is far away from Europe at the end of the day. So by saying yes, I want to live here for the rest of my life, you have to kind of let some things go. And exactly what you were saying, that there are these social expectations that we're going to be around not that far from our families and stuff. And I think a lot of people feel the same way, like, or they felt the same way, that they didn't want to be that far away. They felt like they had this responsibility. But being there, going through what we went through in the pandemic, being so far away from everything, it's kind of like, well, we kind of made it our home. And I think that's
Yeah.
how a lot of people feel. I think it's a shame that the Australian government didn't really end up doing anything on that basis. We spent all this time, we contributed, and thanks.
Yeah, you get an extra year visa, and that's about it. No.
And like you were telling me before about people getting denied for their student visas, people who are
Yeah.
in Australia for years.
Yeah, they just get. I think it's horrible. It's just like, oh well, it was fun. Thanks for your contribution. Bye. You can go home again. Like, cool. I
Mhm.
worked so hard. Like, filled up jobs that no one wanted to do during a pandemic, and being away from family, not knowing when you'll be able to see them again, making a lot of sacrifices, and then government's just putting up a big middle finger to you.
Yeah, I think because at some point, I mean, it was a topic of conversation that we were trying to put across as backpackers, but slowly they just made it disappear, that conversation. We're not doing anything for you, you can have this extra year, like you say, but PR, forget about it. No.
Yeah. Whereas in New Zealand and Canada, I think people got, well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I've heard that they got gifted permanent residency because they've been staying throughout the pandemic, which is a bit of difference compared to Australia, where they're like, cool, pandemic's over, you can go now. Got a new
It's,
batch coming in. You can move on.
yeah, you're going to be replaced.
Yeah.
That happened with my friend Luca. He's Italian, and he came here just at the start of the pandemic. He was on the West Coast as a tourist, and then him and his ex-wife managed to get there some kind of work visa, and now he's a citizen. He's a Canadian citizen, and he did
That's
that in
crazy.
5 years. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's, it is wild. It is wild. Maybe it's because we have to learn some things that we don't get it so easy.
Yeah. It's okay to not get things easy. Makes you more appreciative, I think.
Hmm. And you're going to do it anyway. I'm sure I have
Exactly.
a lot of confidence that you're going to make it happen.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm pretty I don't know. Once I've got a goal in my mind, that's I'm gonna get there one way or another.
You're
Worst
determined.
case scenario, just marry an Aussie. It's okay.
There's always a way.
Exactly. There's always a way.
Okay, before I come on to my last three questions, do you have any more questions for me?
No.
Okay, perfect. So the question from the last guest is, imagine a genie waved a wand over your head and gave you unlimited confidence for the next month. What are three things that you would do that you've never done before?
Three. There's three things I have to say. That's a lot. I can't even think of one. Um, Unlimited confidence. Whew. I don't know. Maybe like in the next month. Wow, I have no idea. That's really hard. Maybe do something like a bungee jump or something. I'm
Yeah,
really scared of heights. And I've done a skydive. That was fun. Um, but like a bungee jump, I would be too scared. But it's not something that I'm really like, oh, I'd love to do that. But I think if I would have all the confidence, I probably will do something like that. Or um like proper climbing, you know, like I don't know how you call it, like proper like climbing,
mountain climbing.
Mountain climbing, yeah, something like that. There's beautiful places where you can do that, but I would never. At this point, I would be too clumsy and too scared to actually be able to do that. So that's 2. What else? Damn it, I don't know. If I had all the confidence of the world. Can I leave it with 2?
No, it has to be 3.
Damn it. What would you do?
What would I do?
It gives me time to think for my 3rd one.
Probably right now. I'd probably go and practice my French a lot.
All right, yeah. I didn't even think about that side. But what do you mean? You don't have the confidence now to practice your French? You're good at languages.
Yeah, I mean, but the other thing is I don't really care about it too much either. But if I had unlimited confidence and I really didn't care about you know, the thing is I don't really care about making mistakes, but there is something that holds me back a little bit. So so I would say that I just don't have the yeah, it's more about like wanting to actually practice. I don't have that feeling so much.
Yeah, it's a hard question, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. For you specifically, yeah, because you are a confident person in general.
Yeah, not in everything, but like, yeah.
But where's the other thing then?
What do you mean?
You said not in everything, so
I mean, everyone's got insecurities, right?
yeah.
But it's not like holding me back not doing things. So it's I find that a hard question to answer. Maybe I actually had a conversation with Adam yesterday, but maybe I would make more music or like more art.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. If I would feel more confident in that, I would probably draw more and play more music.
What
That's
holds you
2.
back?
So you got 4 now. You're welcome.
No. What holds you back from doing those things now?
Yeah, confidence, I think. Because yeah, I had a conversation with Adam yesterday. It's like I'm not with either to a level that I can create my own stuff. And then I'm like really thinking like is it valid? Like, because when you just copy others' music or like if you draw more realism, you're basically copying something that's already existent. So is that considered art?
Yes, we have to start somewhere.
Yeah, I agree. But I think that's kind of holding me back. Like I'm not at the level where I'd like to be. But yeah, obviously there's a whole process that leads to that. So
You're a perfectionist.
yeah, I am a perfectionist for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's something you can do in next year, coming up with the new year.
More, yeah.
More music,
I'd
more
love
art.
to. More drawing, more music. Yeah. So New Year's resolution.
I'll stick my practicing French there as well for the new year.
Nice.
What question would you like to ask the next guest?
Oh, I can do something real cheesy. When is your next guest?
Today.
What's your New Year's resolution? No, I don't want to ask that. That's horrible. Okay, let me phrase it differently. What would be what place would you really like to visit in the new year, and why?
Okay. Question. Good question.
Yeah.
And finally, what message would you like to share in your own language?
So I just say it in Dutch.
You should say it in Dutch, yeah.
Okay. But no one's gonna understand what I'm saying anyway.
But after you can translate to.
Oh, okay. I'm just thinking how to phrase it in Dutch. I speak so much English that sometimes the build-up of my sentences in Dutch are wrong.
Yeah?
So yeah, it's horrible. And my English isn't perfect either, so now I don't speak any language perfectly anymore. It's just both.
I feel
the
same. But you speak English very well.
Yeah, but still, like, I'm struggling sometimes with words and how to say things, especially when I'm tired. It's a bit harder. But in general, it's okay. Yeah, it's pretty good. I can make myself understandable.
More than that, but
yeah. Oké. Wees niet bang om je hart te volgen en een andere weg te kiezen dan van je verwacht wordt.
And what does that mean?
That's a question. Google Translate. No, it means like, don't worry to follow your heart and choose a different path than you're expecting to take. You're expected to take. Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah. Because I think that's very important. People just usually follow whatever people expect them to do. I think it's a shame.
I feel like people are realizing more and more that they have to do what they want to do.
Yeah, I think so too. But not enough.
Not enough. And maybe that's the message someone needs to hear.
Exactly. You never know. This is your call. Travel the world. Change your career. I don't know. Quit your job.
Go and do all of the above.
All of the above. Or none. Whatever.
Okay, well, thank you so much for today. It was lovely to catch up with you. It's been 2.5 years. The last time we saw each other was in Den Hague.
Yeah, that was so cool.
Hopefully we get to see each other in person again at some point. I know you're going to be there for another 2.5 years.
Yeah. If not, I'm sure we'll be able to meet each other at some point, somewhere in the world.
100%.
I'm sure that's going to happen.
Well, thank you everyone for listening. This has been episode 21 of Backpacks and Stories.